Okay, good evening. This is a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners, Thursday, December 7th, 2023, conditional use hearing. So this is the conditional use application of the trustees of Dorrance Hamilton, 3/15/1996 revocable agreement of trust, seeking approval to develop the properties at 208 and 228 Stratford Avenue and 18 Forest Lane, Wayne, under the density modification development provisions at Article 19 of the Township zoning ordinance. The property consists of approximately 7.5 acres, is in the R4 Residence District, and consists of Delaware County Folio number 36-01-00538-00, 36-01-00539-00, number 36-01-00540-00, and number 36-01-00236-02. The application proposes 38 townhomes, common open space areas, new stormwater management facilities, and related improvements. I'm going to now ask everyone to join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You were very good. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Township Solicitor, John Rice, to get us started.
Okay, thank you. Just a little bit of background where we're at in this proceeding. We were last here on this application August 10th of this year, and the matter was continued generally at that time. Some of the residents became parties. I have your names and contact info from that night. I'm going to go through that. The applicant made a request to start up the hearings, which we've now advertised in the newspaper. Tonight's hearing was advertised twice. It was advertised in the November 22nd and November 30 edition of the Delco County Daily Times. I think it's also been posted on the Township's website. So tonight is the second night, basically, of this application. Some of you may have been here for the first application, but the first thing I'd like to do is just go through the party list, who's here, who's not here. I received 3 emails this week from additional residents that are requesting party status. I think at least 1 or 2 of them said that they would be here, but it wasn't clear to me about the third person. So if we can do that, and then I'll read your address. I don't think Mr. Brosman has the right, as the applicant's counsel, to ask questions: where you live, how far are you from the property, that kind of thing. Mr. Marlier is here representing the township in this application. And he, of course, also can ask questions of any of the parties and any of the witnesses. Mr. Brosman, I don't think we went through the parties last time. You didn't ask questions of any of the parties, but let me just go through the list, and I'll see if you have any objections to any of them at that point. If you want to ask questions, you'll need to come up to the podium if Mr. Brosman or Mr. Marlier have any questions for you. So let me go through the list. The first is Jennifer Paquette. Paquette, okay, she's here. And you live at 3 Madison Lane? And how close is that to the property, the Hamilton property? 100 yards. Okay. Mr. Brosman, you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Any objection?
No.
Okay. Mr. Marlier?
Ms. Packard, if you could just spell your last name, please.
P as in Peter, E, C,
Greg Hess. Is Greg here? His address is 66 Crestline Road. Mr. Brosman, you've had this list for, I think, earlier this week, or do you have any objection to, assuming Mr. Hess shows up at the next hearing, do you have any objection to him at this point?
If you want to defer till then, that's fine, but I looked on the map where he is, and I would object.
Okay.
Based on his location.
Okay. So
Address, sorry, can you repeat the address?
the address is 66 Crestline Road.
And John, since I don't have this list, can you just spell those names for me?
Both of them?
In the future, it's okay. I'll get them from Peggy for the future.
Okay. Okay, so we'll put Mr. Hess on hold until the next hearing, okay?
He's not here, right?
Mary Ann Mahoney, 5 Grant Lane. Are you here, Ms. Mahoney? Mr. Brosman?
No objection.
No objection. Brian Curley, Curley, 136 Fairfield Lane. Are you here, Mr. Curley? Mr. Brosman, any objection?
Is he here? I didn't hear.
Pardon me?
Not here, he's not here.
He's not here? Oh, okay. If he's where I think he lives, 136 Fairfield Lane, I don't have an objection. If he attends.
No objection?
No objection.
Okay, no objection. Okay, Robbie?
Could I note, I think the people do have to eventually show up and participate.
They do.
So I also
And-
note that, but if he does, I don't object.
Okay.
Mr.
After-
Brosman, I'm going to ask you to speak closer to the mic
Yeah,
so that people in the back can hear you. This is also televised, so
I'll
you can
bring it
move the mics
closer.
closer to you. They're not that powerful. Thank you.
Anyone that's not here tonight will get a communication from my office. You have to show up. This is not sit at home or, not showing up is a reason not to be permitted to be a party. Okay. Robbie Weirman, Wierman, 101 Lantoga Road. Lantoga, Lantoga Road. Mr. Brosman, any objection? The person's not here?
I would object if this person attends. I would also I would object due to
Okay.
location.
Okay. Amber Atwood Levy, Levy, Radnor Conservancy. Ms. Levy, are you here? Mr. Brosman? I believe this person's representing the Radnor Conservancy. Any objection?
I would object, but I guess for the people that aren't here, we should see if they show up and then
I agree.
address it further.
Let's see if they show up. Louisa Hanshew, Hanshew, 219 Sugartown Road. Are you here? Okay. Not seeing Ms. Hanshew. Mr. Brosman?
That person is not here, and I would object
Okay.
if she does attend.
Okay. Joe Shuda? Mr. Shuda's here.
No
I
objection.
assume you have no objection to Mr. Shuda.
No objection to Mr. Shuda.
Okay.
And that is spelled.
SCHUDA, 14 Forest Lane. Gregory Zari, SZARY, 6 Forest Lane. Mr. Brosman?
Is he here?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. No objection.
Steve Rocky, Rocci, 201 Bloomingdale Avenue. Are you here, sir? Mr. Brosman?
Is he here?
No.
Oh. I would object.
Okay. Peter Clark? Mr. Clark's not here. Mr. Brosman, you objecting?
On your list, it said, it didn't give any information even about an address, so
I have no address on this
I-
person either.
I would object.
Okay. Okay, 3 people who contacted me by email, Sharon and David Willis, 335 Stratford. Are you here? Okay, they're both here. Mr. Brosman, do you have any questions for Mr. and Mrs. Willis?
Just where that address is in relation to the property.
Okay, 335 Stratford. Could you come up to the podium, please? Mr. Brosman has some questions about where you live in relation to this property.
It's about a block and a half down the road towards Old Eagle School Road.
Are you past,
We're past the township line. We're in Tredyffrin.
you're in Tredyffrin?
And we were party last time.
Are you past Grant Lane?
Yes.
Could I reserve on this, and I would like to get a map and look until next time to see how far the distance is?
Okay. Mr. Marlier, you have any questions for the Willises?
No, based on the address, Mr. Solicitor, this potential party certainly would be impacted by any stormwater runoff, so I have no objection to her having party status.
Okay. Mr. Brosman, you're going to reserve any objection one way or another until you map it out?
I would like to, yes.
Okay.
That will probably go for the other 2 that weren't on the list prior. I couldn't check out the address.
Stephen and Megan Sherry, Schery, 9 Grant Lane.
No objection.
And Cindy Hansen, Hansen, and I did not get an address today, but I believe I just got an email with an address. Oh, you're here, okay. Could you come up to the podium and just state your address?
6 Hedgerow Lane. What is it again? 6 Hedgerow Lane. Hedgerow. I live next to the other development.
Mr. Brosman?
What do you mean, the other development?
Where Mr. Halloway is developing houses. I live at the end of Hedgerow Lane.
You have to speak into the mic, please.
Sorry, I live at the end of Hedgerow Lane.
Could I reserve on this until I can see it on a map?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's all I have in terms of additional parties since August. Mr. Brosman, do you want to address how you want to proceed tonight?
Yes. I had contacted Mr. Rice about this. When we got this date, it was my understanding there were no other dates available. We knew that one of our key witnesses and one of our earlier on witnesses wouldn't be able to make it. But then, since that time, I learned after the election that 2 of the 7 Board of Commissioner members will not be in office as this case proceeds in January. So I feel that we would prefer not to start presenting our evidence until the full board, the newly constituted board is seated in January. So I would like to proceed in that fashion.
Okay.
And I also wanted to note an objection for the record at the appropriate time.
An objection for the record?
Yes.
What objection?
The objection would be, and I didn't want to interrupt the flow earlier, and no disrespect to Mr. Marlier. I learned that he had been appointed special counsel in this matter by the Board of Commissioners. By seeing it on an agenda, we weren't notified about that, and then I contacted you, Mr. Rice, and you gave me his name. Thank you for that. I'm noting an objection for the record that, and I don't know what Mr. Marlier is going to be doing in the case, if he's going to be cross-examining witnesses, if he's going to be presenting evidence against this conditional use application, so that remains to be seen. But the objection is that it's the Board of Commissioners that are, sitting as the judge essentially in this quasi-judicial hearing, and they have appointed Mr. Marlier, and if they, through that appointment, are having the township oppose the application, I feel that causes a due process issue for the applicant, among other issues. So I wanted to note that for the record.
Okay. Mr. Marlier, you want to address that?
Yes, Mr. Rice, thank you so much, and thank you, Commissioners. And again, my name is Noah Marlier, and you have hired me or approved my hire from the Township as special counsel in this hearing. It's not my understanding necessarily that I'm objecting to this application. I've been hired to represent the Township's interests in this matter. But I think more to the point, the case law, and I did not know this motion was going to, Mr. Brosman was going to bring up this motion tonight, so I don't have the case law, but I'm pretty darn sure that the case law is very clear that you have every right to hire special counsel in a situation like this. I do have my own objections when the time is appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Okay. Mr. Brosman, you have any case law that says Board of Commissioners can't appoint special counsel in a conditional use proceeding?
I don't have any with me, and my objection is a little broader than that. I don't know that there's a problem appointing special counsel. We have to see what's going to happen, and if it's going to create a due process issue. I am aware of
So you want special counsel, it's okay as long as he doesn't ask difficult questions or oppose this application? I mean, is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I said I'm aware of a case that involved that, but I was saying my objection is broader than that. I don't want to,
Okay.
at some point in the proceeding or at the end, I can brief that issue.
Okay. Well, we'll probably have to do that at the end. So your objection's on the record. You preserve whatever you need to preserve in terms of that objection. And, we're going to be here more than probably a couple nights. So at the end of that, you can both, the township and the applicant can address that. I don't see any issue with that.
Can you just explain a little bit why the special counsel? I think that's the important issue, is just that he's there to ask questions. Right? Can you explain? Got it.
So, just for the residents and for anybody else that's watching, what's been raised by Mr. Brosman as a due process issue. The Board of Commissioners appoint special counsel to participate in a hearing. He believes that could be a due process problem if he opposes the application on behalf of the township. So there's been some cases that I'm aware out there. I do know the municipality's planning code permits this procedure. I don't know whether the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's dealt with it directly head-on at this point. But we intend to have a full and fair hearing. Mr. Morlier is here to represent the township's interest, which is, does the conditional use application comply with the zoning ordinance? What's the standards for that? So, and that's what I think, anybody that's involved in this should be shooting for. But that'll be briefed at the end of this. We can address that, and there'll be some legal argument on that. But Mr. Brosman wants to put that on the record so it's preserved in the event that, he doesn't like what the ultimate, or his client doesn't like what the ultimate decision is. That's an issue that he wants to preserve, which is pretty typical in a hearing like this. With that then, so you have no witnesses ready? I know your chief witness, your engineer is unavailable, but there's no other witnesses in terms of tonight. Is that correct, Mr. Brosman?
Yes, that's correct. In addition to the witness not being available, the issue about
Right. And the
having
commissioners, right.
the new commissioners.
So do we need to go off the record here and talk about the next date, the next night?
Mr. Rice, if I could, just on the record,
Yeah.
I would note my own objection, if I may.
Go ahead.
For the record and to preserve this at a future date, similar to Mr. Brosman's objection, I'm raising an objection to the application on the grounds of res judicata and collateral estoppel. Reading over the application for this hearing tonight, it's extremely similar, almost identical to an application from just a few years ago that was ruled upon by this board. The issues are the same: stormwater issues, density issues, conditional use. The request is the same, a conditional use approval. This has been ruled upon already by this board in rejecting or denying that conditional use. The application just a couple years ago was 41 townhomes, now it's 38. The open space was 15% just a few years ago, now it's just a little bit more than that. So it's very, very similar issues. It's been ruled upon. It's already gone up to common pleas here in Delaware County, and it's been ruled upon there. They had fair hearings, multiple hearings to put up their application and put up witnesses, multiple witnesses at that. And so I would raise at this time the issue of res judicata and collateral estoppel in opposition to this application being presented. Thank you.
Okay. So that's an issue that'll be developed, I guess, during testimony by Mr. Morlier, Mr. Brosman, and that's not something that'll be ruled on tonight by the board.
And I'll note for the record, as you might imagine, I don't agree with those points.
Right. Okay. Any other objections from anybody sitting here? Okay. So I guess we need to talk about some dates in January.
Yes.
And Mr. Brosman, there's no issue with timing under the MPC and, scheduling hearings. I know there's a 45-day clock between hearings. I think you've waived that in the past. There's no issue going forward.
I waived that in the past. I would like to see if we could get our hearing in 45 days. If
I'm just saying as of now, there's no.
As of now, the timing is good. I wrote letters.
Right.
When I've asked the first continuance, I wrote a letter and confirmed that extension that I gave verbally at the hearing. And then I wrote a second letter to Mr. White requesting that the hearing start up. And that was done within the 60 days that we had agreed to this hearing. So
Okay.
I have no timing issues with what has happened thus far in this hearing. That's your question, correct?
Well, just so everybody's understands, there's an obligation to have the next hearing within 45 days from tonight.
Yes.
So that's, what I'm talking about. So let's just go off the record for now, and if the board, knowing that there will be 3 more commissioners who are not sitting here, at least the 4 that are sitting here, we should discuss some dates in January. So if we can do that. And Peggy,
I think Peggy Hagan has a
Schedule.
list of, one thing we have to ensure is that this room is not occupied. So scheduling is a bit limited by the use of this space. So, Ms. Hagan, do you have dates that would be available in January?
Yes, currently we have January 9, which is a Tuesday, Wednesday, January 17th. We have Monday, January 29th, Wednesday, the 31st, Thursday, February 1st, Tuesday, February 6th, Tuesday, February 13th, and Wednesday, February 21st.
Are there any dates that are not viable for our discussion? Does anybody have any of those dates? We've got January 9, 17, 29, and 31, February 1, 6, 13, and 21.
I didn't check February with my group, and I'd have to quickly calculate the 45-day period. I think that would be beyond that, but I believe all of the January dates that you provided, 9, 17, 29, and 31, would work for the applicant.
Commissioner, I think the 9th would be a little challenging for me. Obviously, if it works for everyone, I'll make it work. But the 17th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, I believe are okay.
The 17th is not good for me.
The 9th would be a bit of a challenge for me. I can do any other day, though.
So I'm going to say not the 9th and not the 17th. 29th and 31st, I'm inclined to go with the earlier. In case we need both evenings, maybe we hold both. Everybody okay with January 29 and January 31st?
Can I check with my client, because I think that's beyond the 45 days.
I thought you were going to waive that.
No, I said I would see what the dates were. I didn't waive it.
I didn't hear a reason why the 9th is.
Yeah, why wasn't the 9th viable?
I have a commissioner who's not able to attend on the 9th, and I cannot attend on the 17th.
I thought he said it wasn't the most convenient, but
I have a commissioner who can't be here on the 29th, right?
I
Commissioner
heard
Lark?
Jack say it wasn't the most convenient, not that he couldn't come.
Are you a no on the 9th?
Yeah, look, if we hold the hearing on the 9th, I'll be here, but it would be a bit of a hardship for me.
So I'm going to say no on the 9th. We have 2 people who have said that it would be difficult.
Every day is difficult.
Which two?
Our council and a commissioner both asked for us not to choose the 9th. So I'm
So
going
I'm
to,
calculating the 45 days. What would that be? I think January 21. Did I do my math right? Or there's no other dates we could get?
We could also put the hearing on today.
we're here.
I don't think that would be a fair thing to do.
But you asked for the change because you said there's going to be 2 more commissioners later,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right, but I had 2 other commissioners ready tonight. And
They're
just
not
because,
here.
well, they're not here because you said you didn't want to go forward. Now we're
Yes.
struggling with dates within the confines of the 45 days.
I
So-
think my
So we
client,
stretched a little bit. I'm asking
Right.
you to do the same.
I haven't ruled it out. We're having a discussion. I think my client, would be entitled to have the case heard by all 7 of the commissioners. Usually it's asked of the applicant if they would agree for the people to read the transcript, so.
And usually happens when there's a change, so.
Right.
But you don't want to do that. You want all the commissioners here that are coming
Yes.
into office to hear all the testimony live, so.
That's right.
So tonight is not happening because of your unavailability, as was the August meeting. You weren't ready to proceed, and now you want to hold up 45 days. Is that?
I haven't said we're having an off-the-record discussion.
Right, and I'm
So-
just pointing out all the facts, George.
I watched a hearing the other night where the board was offering many dates in January, and the applicant kept asking for December, and the board gave them the hearing in December after having a discussion. I'm just trying to have an off-the-record discussion, not trying to be difficult, just as that applicant was representing their
Right,
client.
We could find a December date, and I'll bring in the additional current sitting board members.
Yeah,
Do you prefer that?
I don't prefer that. I was
Okay.
just pointing out that.
No, I understand, but we're struggling with the availability of this room. This is the
Right.
room that we need, and this is also the room where all of the business of the township goes.
Right.
So,
I'm just probing that off-the-record discussion, so.
sure, no, but
I'm not trying to be
you said
difficult.
December, so I was going to go back and find December date.
Let's do this, George. We're not going to pick a date tonight, first of all.
Well, we can, I'm just,
We're not going to.
Uh,
It's December 7th. You're not ready to go tonight.
let me
And
Let me speak to my client.
go talk to your client, give us a day within the 45 days, and I'll advertise it. Doesn't have to be announced tonight.
Well, I
You can
want
add
to
in the
speak,
newspaper.
I want to see if we can accommodate the 45-day request.
Well, you need to tell us what days that would work for you.
Well, I've been
I want to
told,
make sure that you're going to have a witness available
Right.
that night.
I've been told the 29th and 31st is good.
I'm the only one not available on the 17th, and I can step out if you don't want me at the
Right.
hearing.
No, if I could speak to my client about, the feasibility of us going ahead on the 29th and 31. And-
Do you want to
and grant-
take a recess to
take
do
5
so?
minutes.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
I probably won't need 5 minutes.
Okay, we're going to go back on the record, and there's been a discussion about hearing dates. I think we have an agreement that tonight will be continued to January 29th and January 31st. So there'll be 2 nights. Both will be scheduled for this application, starting at 6:30 in this room. Mr. Brosman, you're in agreement with that?
I'm in agreement with that, and I would confirm for the record that the applicant agrees that those will be the dates, even though they are more than 45 days from this evening. And we appreciate the board working with us to find these dates.
And you're waiving the 45-day requirement under the MPC?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Morlier?
I have no objection to those dates, and they both work for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay. Is there anything else from the applicant, Mr. Morlier? Anything else?
Nothing from me.
We have dates? Yes, sir.
Nothing, Mr. Sills.
Okay. Any residents have any questions or comments? Everybody's clear? Mr. Shuda, come on
Mr.
up to the
Shuda,
podium,
if you'd come
please.
to the mic.
While he's approaching, did we state that it is 6:30 p.m. here in this room?
Yes.
Just for the record.
Yeah, 6:30 p.m. in this room.
Thank you, Ken. Joseph Schuda, SCHUDA, 14 Forest Lane, right in Wayne. Just a clarification, you had a number of names you mentioned on the party list. And correct me if I'm wrong, on the notice that went out announcing this meeting tonight, there were 2 addresses, I believe, on that meeting notice, I thought. The 208 and a 60, some other address possibly? I know, that's what I'm wondering, if in fact, because none of those names are familiar to me and that you mentioned.
That's in the application.
So, I mean, if you don't mind, if you could just email me those names, I'll send
The list?
of those folks. We'll send them, because some of the addresses are fairly remote, in my opinion. I don't want to say they're not there, but I don't know exactly where they're at either. I just wanted to clarify, just in case they were responding to party status, which, I'll have to look through our
The
email.
other application.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about the other application?
The other applications that you read tonight for party status.
Okay. Well, I have, the names I read tonight, 11 of them were from August.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were here in August for the first
Right,
night.
okay, all right,
And then I received 3 emails this week.
okay,
Ms. Hansen's here.
right.
But I can send this to you.
If you don't mind, this way we can clarify if they want to participate or not, then we'll,
Well, I'm gonna send a communication also.
okay,
If they want to be a part of this hearing,
They have to
need
attend.
to show up.
exactly.
You can do what you want to do with it, Mr. Shuda, but I'm
That's
going to tell
fine.
them,
That's fine.
this is like,
I'm going to go out
First
there and
rule
beat them
is
over the
to
head,
show
that's
up.
the only problem. Thank you,
so,
thank
okay.
you.
Yes, come on up, please.
And state your name for me, please.
Hi, my name is Kate Hermans, Hermans. I actually live fairly far from the property at 505 Montgomery Lane. I had a chance to communicate with Maggie offline on email, and my name was not listed as someone who was opposed to this, so I just wanted to speak up more, ask a question for clarification. There were 2 announcements, this one, but also one associated around Bellevue and West Ave as well. And my objection to this is that collectively, the amount of properties that are being added and the impact to the township starts to have a much broader impact than just a select location as this one. And understanding sort of how that fits within the greater schema of zoning and planning for the township, I think is important to understand. I heard objections for anyone who's not living within spitting distance of the location, but I think in aggregate, it actually starts to impact the township much more broadly. So I'm just curious as to how that process works, is sort of a question for the council. Thank you for your time.
Well, I'm not sure how to answer that, but let me first of all say that anybody that's involved in the application, any parties, you're not a party at this point, but parties can't be contacting the commissioners directly, right? They're the judges. So I'm going to reiterate that. I think I said that the first night. That's prohibited under state law. That other application, 60 West conditional use, is a totally separate application. Just happens to have been filed around the same time. Both of these uses are identified in the township zoning ordinance as permitted uses. So I would suggest you might want to get a copy of the zoning ordinance, take a look at it. It's online, it's available. And, you know, there are two different types of uses. One is in the 60 West is in the Wayne Business Overlay District. It's treated differently because of its location. This is a density modification use, which is a type of use that's permitted throughout the township at different densities and different design criteria. But other than that, everything that happens like this in the township impacts the township across the board. Any other questions from residents?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the conditional use hearing, in both cases, any Radnor resident is going to get a public participation time slot. So that would be, in my opinion, your best way to get your, issues put forward.
Once all the testimony and evidence and cross-examination is done, there'll be a public comment period for these applications. So you can stand up and you get 5 minutes and, say whatever you want to say, what your opinion is, what you like, what you don't like. Okay? Anything else? Okay, so with that, motion to adjourn.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second? Second. We are adjourned? Oh, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.